one company or like event come to mind? And I like this is on record. So this will be kind of, let's see if it happens.
So, if you follow me at all, you may be sick of how much I talk about local theater and music
No.
theater in general. Like that just like fills my cup so much. And I've actually already had like an inkling opportunity within this bucket, but like I don't know what it looks like, but I want to paint for musical theater, whether it's like for the opening of shows or just recently Lion King Broadway had their anniversary tour in Wichita. But like it doesn't have to be in Wichita. Wicked just had their 20th anniversary. Like how cool would it have been to do a live painting in the lobby of the Wicked,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So that's an arena that I think is untapped and has a huge potential to really be creative, and be in a space where there's other live performers that are exhibiting their crafts as well. So
right. Oh my gosh.
that's what
Okay.
I'm brought
It's
to.
out in the universe. I would like you to paint, if I had to pick one for you, and I got to go with you, I want you to paint at like a Phoenix Suns game in Scottsdale, and I have to travel with you. That's where I'm gonna. Well,
Yeah.
actually, wait, you've already done the women's team there, haven't you?
Mercury, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It
well, I'll go.
wasn't their halftime show, but we got to auction off my live painting. It was like a breast cancer
Right.
that night, and that was like the first breakthrough, and I just happened to be there.
What have you liked the most about it? Like in the experience of you booked the gig's over. What's like your favorite part?
Okay, so this is a little bit vain.
No, because I'll probably say the same thing. I love it when the crowd roars.
Sure. But like, I literally, and I did it right before I got on this podcast because I hadn't shown Jesse the full videos of my paintings from this weekend. I just like to watch my videos like over and over again.
I just like to see how good I am at it. I mean, that's such a testament to how cool this is. And for those of you who don't know what speed painting is, one, we'll put all of Annika's like handles in the show notes so you can go stalk her. But you have to watch these videos of you speed painting. It's so into it the whole time. Like when you flip it around, and also, girl, your choreograph your choreography phenomenal. Like you are just, and like you're so
Like I black out. I don't black out, but everything with speed painting, you can have a plan and it will be out the window the moment before you hit the stage. So when I'm in it, it all happens so fast and I just go on autopilot of everything I've learned over the last 10 years. So that's why I like watching it back because I'm like, okay, I did make that mark that I hoped that I would. Okay, my throw was pretty good. Oh, they liked it. Oh, I can hear the cheers now. Like I get to absorb it kind of after the fact and I'm proud of myself. It's cute.
here's my whole like thought process on like your brand right now with speed painting is that one, it makes so much sense to me knowing your background. Like for those of you, like a little recap here, Annika has been in the pageant world her entire life, and so you obviously used speed painting as one of your talents. But then also like theater, like it's like speed painting is everything that you've done over time. And when I look at your brand and I think, oh my gosh, if you would have just stopped speed painting or stopped painting when you were done with college, like you wouldn't be doing what you are now. And if you would have not like gone on to like be Miss Kansas that last year, it's like you wouldn't have the experience in like your choreography and like how you present yourself like you do now. And I think it's such a testament to one, keep doing it, but two, like just keep getting better at it and all of these doors open.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think back to again that moment in July where everything changed and people close to me reminded me exactly that. Like you have been preparing for this your entire life. Whether you knew it was happening right now or not, you're ready for it. And so the door opened a little bit unexpectedly and I said, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Do you have any, I think a lot of people that are going to be listening to this episode, which by the way, this is, I don't think I told you this. This is like the first episode like back. So like no pressure, but we're gonna have to, no, just kidding. But I think a lot of women and girls who are listening to this podcast, I want to get that across, is just how hard you have worked leading up to this, but kind of going back to all of the things that you have your hand in. You just do everything really well, and you've just stayed consistent, and you show up and these opportunities open. But if there's a painter out there or an artist or someone who, you know, they have a passion for like this type of art form, what is your advice like to just keep going? Because speed painting, like you're the second one in America. Like that's insane.
Right. I know. Technically, second female speed painter, and even outside of the female box, there's not many of us. I'm really fortunate that the first female speed painter, Jessica K. Haas, has been an incredible mentor of mine. And she's given me some of those like tips and tricks that she's figured out along the way, because when you enter this space and there's not a blueprint, you can't Google how to speed paint that I know of, right? Or like she and I probably are the ones who come up.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of trial and error and figuring things out for yourself. And like the good thing is that we're creative, so we're going to figure it out. But like I have built custom easels over the phone with my dad. I have scrapped stuff up from the junkyards at KU when I was in college. Like no matter what kind of art you're creating, you're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to figure out what works for yourself. And I think that's something that I'm learning now is we've got this little triad of speed painters within our agency, and we're sharing these ideas of how we travel with paint, what easels we use, what brushes we use. And at the end of the day, that might not be my preference. And so I'll say, I'm going to try that. And if I don't like it, that's okay. I'm going to do what works for me. So that's my advice. See what's out there. See what you can mimic and make your own, or just try stuff. It's art. You literally can't fail.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had to kind of think about what's working for you right now, meaning, is it Instagram pretty picture posts? Is it staying active on your stories? Like what is working for you right now?
I kind of hate that what's working is reels.
Oh, I know.
I'm not a video person, and I'm having to become a video person. And that's just what it is. So, and Instagram gives you those little like, oh, if you hit one more reel, you're on a creative streak. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get that little digital badge.
Yeah.
So I do. But I think that there's still definitely value in the static pictures. And I think that what I've found over the years is that no matter what the algorithm trend new feature is, as long as it's consistent, staying consistent with my posts, not completely ghosting followers. What I think I see the most activity around is when I bring folks along with me with the events that I'm doing. So this last weekend I was in Charleston, and I went and explored a little bit in the city before I did the painting. And I would like to do a little bit more BTS while I'm actually painting, but right now my head is just all the way in the zone. So when I can take folks along with me in the outside pieces of those travel times, that's when I get a lot of feedback, recommendations. Oh, I've been there.
Right.
And then all of that fuels more engagement once it's time to post that painting video and the big reveal.
The personal brander in me too is like, hey, every time you know that you're going to a location, let's like look to see what other podcasts or like opportunities that we can get you to like be able to get, I think that is the multiple streams of income thing that I am loving about personal branding right now, is that you can take your speed painting gig and going out and doing that, and you can also tie in your personal branding self of like, you could probably get paid to go to a cycling class somewhere or go try out a new breakfast spot. Like all of those opportunities are just all out there. My dad always says like there's so much money in the world and there's so much money to be made. The only difference is like you have to go make it. And of course, that's like no shit. Like, yeah. But it's such a testament to like, yeah, like if I did know I was going to Dallas for the weekend, I could probably find $1,000 in brand deals to work out during that time, whether you'd want to or not. But I see that for you just because you have such a great following.
And like, if you're not wearing your brand, what are you doing out in the world, right? So I went down on King Street, which if you've ever been to Charleston, you know King Street. If you haven't, it is, you know, the cutest like main street, but also has like the bougie shops, but also has art galleries, whatever.
Uh,
So I went into some art galleries. That was fun. The shop that I was going to see, the reason I went to King Street is called Love Shack Fancy. Mm-hmm.
yes. Love them. Did you
That's so
get that
right.
dress?
I did not get that dress. But so I go in there, I'm chatting with them, I'm learning about the history of Love Shack Fancy, like about their founder. I try on this adorable dress. And as I'm coming out, they're like, oh my gosh, I love your jacket. That's so cute. And I even had like a fanny pack on. So it was kind of like you couldn't see it all the way. And I pulled my hair back and I showed it to them and they were like, oh, that's awesome. And I said, yeah, actually, I'm a speed painter. And they were like, what? And so I talked to them about that, what that is, what I was in town for. And all of a sudden, I have the store manager's contact card. She says she wants to see if they can fly me out for events for Love Shack Fancy in New York. Like they want to do a pop-up in Wichita. So I connect her with one of my friends here, like literally because I was wearing a jacket.
Yep. And here's the thing, that's like social media is great. Like I will die on this digital marketing hill, but like you have to get out and talk to people. Like that opportunity would never ever happen the way that it did at the speed that it did. Like I think you for sure could get a speed painting gig with them. Absolutely. But like it moved like that quickly along because of you being you in person and like the jacket, like that's who you are. I
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have quite as much time as I would like to, but as soon as I walked out that store, you know, the next store on the row was Chanel and Prada and whatever. I'm like, oh man, if I went into all
love
stores.
it. Right? Oh my gosh, I love that. I just kicked my light off. Okay, let's talk about your multiple businesses. One, how do you manage it all? Like, I know you have no choice. Like, you have to be able to time manage all of those things. But, like, is there a strategy that you have to managing all these different ventures?
Let's see, this notepad, this
I
pad, this note.
hope you never have a house fire ever. That'd be the first thing you'd grab, probably.
Right. I mean, I have everything tracked some way, probably digitally and handwritten. Uh, and that really is it. I think there are so many tools available. You know, like we've used Trello when we've collabed on stuff before. I use Asana a lot. I have on Chrome, you can make completely different profiles that have different bookmarks, different color codes, different passwords saved. So like I have a whole pink Chrome profile for Crown the Nation, and my studio Wooton, all my painting stuff is teal, and my full-time job is navy. So like the color coding,
That
you know,
art.
amazing.
You're in the pageant industry and painting, and you obviously have a professional job. How do you like keep your passion for each one of those? I think for a lot of people it might be hard going from one thing to the next. Do you feel like, I mean, I know you're gonna be like, I just genuinely love all these things. I know you're gonna say that, but how did you get there to like genuinely love all those things? How do you have that passion? Because I think that's what makes you so good at all these things.
Well, thank you. I'm not passionate about them all the time. I'm really not. And so I remind folks on social media, they're like, oh my gosh, you're always happy, you're always doing this, you're always that. And I say, you don't get to see the times that I'm not. And that's not me like not being transparent. That's just I keep that part of my life closer to me and with my friends. I mean, you know, I text you about stuff. But another, it's in this corner right behind that lamp. It's kind of my eternal vision board. And one of the things that's written on there is like all of the elements that I want in my professional career, whatever that looks like. And variety is one of them. So by having all of these different things going on, it ensures that there's not a single day that I work that looks the same.
Mhm.
Um, and so that allows me to not get tired of one thing that I'm doing, because I know that coming up next is a painting, or coming up next is a pageant boot camp, or coming up next is a training for work. So the variety definitely keeps things
Mhm.
fresh. Another major thing is creating systems and structures on the days that I do not want to do the things.
Mhm. Yes.
Really easy when you're
Yes.
motivated and excited. It's
Uh-huh.
not so easy.
I like, I'm a systems and processes girly. I can attest to that. I finally feel like the systems and processes I put in place like 2 years ago, they paid off this year. Like there's been a lot of days where I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this. Like this, how am I supposed to be passionate about this when I can't be passionate about anything else? And I think those systems and processes have allowed me to make it through those days. And then also on those days, I've needed something else. I've needed that variety.
And putting the people in your corner, like, and maybe that is the systems and processes, is building a team that can support those things. I know, my business partner, Juven, with Crown the Nation, he and I have worked together for so long and have been through so much stuff. We'll get on a Zoom and we'll like download with each other for 5 minutes. And as soon as that girl pops on for her session, it's like, all right, that's in a box.
Uh-huh.
We're here as coaches. So being able to have people who get it and
Mhm.
can kind of like, if he knows that I'm just going through some stuff, I'll be on the call, but maybe he takes the lead for that day.
Right. Okay. On that note, what does it all take to run an Annika Wooton team? Like, you are the main character. Who are our supporting actors and actresses to make this all look the way that it does?
Yeah, great question. Um, Truthfully, it's probably smaller than you think. Um, but it is not a one-woman show. Definitely not. I will say emotional support is my two best friends, my family, and Jesse. And they lift a lot of that load, but it's nice that I can have different people to kind of um, get feedback on. They definitely hold me to my purpose. Jesse will check me every so often.
I love that. You need that. Do you
Yep.
feel like, and maybe everyone's different, but do you feel like that's a quality in a partner that you appreciate, like that you need?
I do. And I think that it's really built upon the way that we communicate, and knowing that at the end of the day, no matter what we agree or disagree on, we want to support each other and help each other grow.
Mhm.
So that's really wonderful. From the speed painting side, I have Prism Talent Agency, and they're my agent and manager. And then with that, Jessica, who's also signed with them, is a huge mentor for me to help bounce around ideas. Like I said, kind of give me tips and tricks and
Mhm.
motivate me when the things with speed painting that may not be perfect. We work through that. From a social media like branding standpoint, like, you seriously have been so pivotal in the different chapters of what I've chosen to embark on the last couple of years, and helping me figure out like, what's my messaging, what's my cadence, what are the platforms that we're sharing this story on. And I think the different iterations that we've gone through have really prepared me for this time in my life.
Right.
Um, and and then yeah, Juven helping me manage. I mean, I help him manage Crown the Nation, and we do all of that business stuff together. But that's really it.
I
I
mean,
am
that's
a photographer and videographer every so often, but a lot of my stuff is self-shot too.
right. Well, I think too, like over time, like, we both work with Lillian. I just worked with her the day after Halloween.
Yeah.
I was like, Lillian, can you just move here? Like, can you just be here all the time? I love her so much. Shout out Lillian Reed Photography for all your no, I love her.
Kudos.
Yeah, all of your photography needs Lillian Reed. But I think over time, because of systems and processes and because of having a clear vision, you've also picked people who help you and work with you, or you have them at your availability if you need to, like Lillian. Like okay, I don't need pictures all the time, but like when I do, I know exactly who I'm gonna ask because I love the way that that shot. I think that's been a thing that you can't expedite that process when you're starting out. Like you have to figure out the hard way sometimes of what works, what doesn't, who works, who doesn't. Um, and I think it's all just a matter of like, just don't quit. Just keep going and you'll get there like where you are too. Um, do you, if there is one thing that you felt like didn't work for you this year, like was there something that you kind of dove into and you realized like this isn't working for me right now and you had to pivot?
Mm, now I'm
Like,
thinking this year.
because I think sometimes, like, especially with being an entrepreneur, it's like we have all of these ideas all the time, like these big ideas. And sometimes they don't work the way that we thought they would. And, I'm personally past the point where I like put my tail in between my legs and like quietly like roll off. Like now I'm like, fuck it. Like, what's the next best idea? So yeah, I didn't know if there was any like ideas or plans or goals you had this year that you got into it and you were just like, this wasn't for me. This isn't how I'm going to do it.
Maybe not quite to that point, but it took on a different outcome than I expected, which is my endeavor with Beyond the Crown. Because what we do with Crown the Nation is coaching young women who are competing for the pageant. Great, right? Whatever category you're looking for or development you're looking for. With Beyond the Crown, my intention there was to create a space for women who were grappling, do they come back and compete? Do they have they aged out and they didn't quite get to finish what they were hoping for? Or did they achieve the title and now they're transitioning into real life? And that has been successful in what I intended it to be, but not quite on the scale that I thought it would be.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's okay because I haven't been promoting it. I've made sure that it's there. So
Mhm.
if people search for something like that, if they're looking for something like that, it is there for them and they're going to find it. However, the nature of the space that those women are in when they're looking for that kind of support is not something that I want to share on social media.
Mhm.
That's a very private and vulnerable space for women who have been in the spotlight for so many years of their lives. That the way that I have done everything else when it comes to business marketing is not the way that I ended up carrying out this endeavor. So not quite like not for me. It's just been kind of a different personality from everything else that I do.
Right. I think that that's okay when you're clear on that intention. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I love that you said like the type of business that it is, it's not meant to be like really blasted out in the way that you have before, which just like I think the way that you did it before was like a way that you're talking about it. You're finding what's the pain point and who's your perfect client, like typical like marketing jargon that you're promoting something. And when sometimes it's like that doesn't feel right for this, but going back to systems and processes and geeking out on digital marketing things, you're exactly right. You've put it everywhere that it needs to go, meaning you've done the website work, you've done like the promotional of like making email lists, like you've done all of the right things that when someone goes down that rabbit hole and they Google those services, you are going to be the person that pulls up for that. And so I think that's also just a note in prioritizing. Like there can be different seasons, which I bet you like when the new year comes around, like you'll feel a little bit different talking about that in a different way. So that's so exciting. I just feel like you have such a good hold on your branding and your personal brand and your vision for that. It's so refreshing. Like, girl, very refreshing.
Thank you.
Um, I'm gonna cut this stuff out where it's a lot of ums. But is there anything else that I really just wanted to ask you about the gigs? Um, you talked about variety. Is there anything else you want to like touch on?
Hmm. Well, so I think now going into this like speed painting era,
Yeah.
bring it up 10,000. I am now faced with like another branding pivot.
Mhm.
And it's not really like we're coming up with something new, because like we've said, I've done this forever. But I do feel like I'm leaning further into what is my stage persona. I mean, going back to theater performer roots,
Yes.
I've been dubbed Big Red. That's what Jessica calls me.
Love
And
it.
affinity with the red hair. So I'm exploring how far I want to lean into that, what that looks like for me on stage, on social media, on my website. For instance, something that I tried and did not love, going into a red theme and a paint theme. Well, red paint splatter
Ugh.
kind of looks like blood. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
what am I exploring here that can kind of still go into like this very beautifully niche branding marketing opportunity that I have with having red hair,
Mhm.
um, and make it work without being like kitschy or it looking like there's blood all over my
Mhm.
website. So, uh, I think everything that like we've done together and everything that I've built with my social media has given me a really nice transition space to be able to explore this. And
Right.
the people that I have on my social media, the community that I've built, they know who I am. They know my therapy journey and my soft spots. So when I'm coming out here, slinging paint in front of thousands of people, like they know what I've been through and they know the ups and the downs and all these things. So my success in this arena has been really cool to experience with those folks and have them cheer alongside with me. It just feels really special. And I think that's a huge testament to what I was able to show them of who I am, like through my blogs, through the marketing strategy we did with Bandit over the last couple of years. So it's been cool.
Is there anything through this persona that you're creating? Because this is what I love. Like, I love the fact that this is who you are because you've shared. People can go back and they can follow your journey all the way along. It's like a digital scrapbook, like your personal brand that you've built. Is there anything that we'll call her Big Red? Is there something she stands behind? Is there something she's known for? Like, is there any types of personality traits that you are wanting to pull out of Big Red?
I think uh definitely playing into the ginger, fiery, redhead. I've joked, and it's not really that much of a joke, but I'm a redhead and I'm an Aries. And that is just fire and feistiness all across the board. So playing into that part of my personality is fun. Figuring out what fashion aligns with that part of my personality is also fun.
Mhm.
And I think that it's a challenge for me to remind myself that like the version that I present in a 6-minute painting does not have to be comprehensive of who I am.
Mhm.
But it gets to show this peek into like the sass and the spice and the fire and the punch that
Uh-huh.
I bring to stages. And that's one of the assets and why people hire me is because of that.
Well, I think it's also just like a testament to what art is, right? Like the meaning behind it. It's like I visualize you like you're painting art, but like you really like you are the art, like you're making it the process of, and I think that's what's really interesting from like a branding standpoint. One, I think like gigs like a Love Shack fancy gig, like things like that that align with like your fashion personality. Like when I saw you had that like that dress that you tried on that like was like a Christmas present dress, I was like a Christmas painting, like her wearing that, doing a speed Christmas painting, that would be everything to me. But I think too, like even just like I could see the brands that you work with that kind of speak to that like fieriness. But I can see like more podcasts in your future to like promote your brand. Is there any type of like mission that you stand behind? Like, you know, how in the pageant world you kind of have your philanthropy type of mission that you're going after. Is there anything that you have going on with that right now? Like you do it in your personal job, Lead for Kansas, you know, like
Yeah, I think in pageants you have the platform or the community service initiative, and I was always in my platform varied throughout the years, but I've always been a huge advocate for the arts, which comes right back to what I'm doing, and being able to create a career that is a career that I get income from doing speed painting, so that when there's an opportunity to create an art painting for a cause that I really love and contribute my talents in that way, I have the flexibility to do so and donate my time and talents. That's like big vision goal.
Yes.
But as far as like a mission, if you know anything about my competition story and competing for 7 years, which means I lost 6 years in a row and finally won Miss Kansas and then served throughout the pandemic. My mission is to remind people that a no isn't the end of the world, and that you get to choose if you get up and try again. You get to choose what developments you make to yourself and your craft in order to come back and be better, and keep to take one step forward each time. And it is not necessarily quitting. It could be choosing a different path and a different passion. But no matter what that is, you are the creator of your life. And like, that sounds, I don't know, kind of cliche, but you get to choose. And in the world that we live in, there are so many resources and so many opportunities and so many people who truly want to see you succeed, that I think that you do yourself a disservice to not create a life that you love.
Insane. I mean, that's that I think that that's where we need to like end this podcast on, because I think that that's one that's so beautiful, and you're such a testament to everything that you just said. You're one of those girls that you just, my best friend always says, don't talk about it, be about it. You always talk about it, and you always are about it, and you do what you say you're going to do. And I think that is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to have you back on the podcast. I think that we do like a first quarter check-in. That way everyone can like know what you put on your vision board and like
I
what
love
you're doing.
that.
We'll do it. We'll keep this series going. When we were sitting down to decide what we were going to talk about today, Annika and I were like, we could literally sit here and talk for hours about anything. But I love everything, all of the good information that you gave. I mean, I hope if anybody gets anything out of this podcast, I hope that they see that you really can do it all, and staying true to yourself and what you do and who you are, and exploring all of the ways you can like be that person. Like, it is possible. So thank you. This is like the best first episode ever. Thank you for being my first guest back.
Absolutely. I'm honored.